animals.
Thanks.
Bad boys for life.
What year is it?
1995, remember?
95.
1995 was a year to remember, with the release of classic blockbusters, memorable music and unforgettable news headlines. However, there was another particular event that occurred at 9:30 AM on the 26th of November 1995. A miracle happened. Who doesn't believe in miracles? I know I do.
My name is Deborah and I'm here to talk about my son. He was born November 26, 1995. He was 23 and a half weeks premature. He was born at 23 and a half weeks, I should say. Well, challenges, there's all sorts of things. He had two older sisters, obviously, and I had to make sure that they kept the same lifestyle they were used to without making an interference of Mathhew being at hospital for so long, such as making sure they had gone to their groups of dancing, swimming, trampolining, gymnastics, parties, brownies, have their friends round, making sure that their life didn't stop because he was so poorly. But at the same time, we had to be there to make sure he was okay. So there was this balance that you had to keep all the time. And it was very, very, very challenging. And they wanted to come to the hospital to film him, and because he was one of the smallest babies to be born. And I refused to let them come to the hospital, or anyone come to the hospital. I didn't want a circus act. I wanted him to get better. I didn't want loads of things going on around him. But they approached me, I think it was 1996. They came to the house and asked if they could photograph me and him. And they just asked me various questions about, there he is, oh my god, don't look at me, about why we chose the name Mathhew. And actually when I had him, there was a Bible beside me, and the first chapter was Mathhew that I looked at, and I thought, well, it's going to be Mathhew. I like the name. It's a very soft name, it's a very sweet name, and that's my little baby there. I still have those little booties, and he did have glasses on at that stage, and they were held with underpants elastic, and I still have those in a drawer upstairs. I've got everything. I've got his first hairbrush, I've got the lot. But yeah, there he is, and they did a little interview with us. And it was actually quite nice. I didn't want them to see him with all the wires and tubes on him. I wanted them to see him, there he is, at home, and he's good. And I had to look after myself as well, but sometimes you put that on the back burner and you're too busy about everybody else. And it was most hard, because I did it mostly on my own, toing and fromming and making sure there were meals and clean clothes and going to school and getting to hospital to see Mathhew, who was extremely poorly. He had 27 wires and tubes attached to his little body. He was only 1 pound in weight. He couldn't even wear anything. He just lay on a baby nappy, exposed, because there's nothing could fit him. And listening to the doctors, what they had to say, the staff at the hospital, sometimes it was, you know, to the point where you could really make yourself upset by it all. But I just had to go through it, get through it, and make sure everything was okay, be the be the support for everyone I was. Keep everyone on top, keep everyone happy. That was a challenge. Well, obviously, he was very premature, so he had jaundice, hole in the heart. He had the pneumonia 5 times in hospital. Sometimes you'd go in there and they'd be bagging him because that meant they tried to get his heart going again, his heart would stop. Just masses of problems, really. He couldn't breathe on his own. He was on a ventilator for a long time, and the staff were very worried that being on a ventilator for so long could play up on his brain, slow down his brain, therefore have many complications in his life to come. No, not really. I didn't let them. Even though he did have them, he was visually and hearing impaired. His eyes which were extraordinary. They were put right in the center here, both of his pupils, and he had to have surgery on his eyes. They don't like doing 2 eyes at the same time, let alone one. And not knowing he had hearing problems in the beginning because he was so tiny. And they had to do all these special testing to make sure, about his hearing. It was so complicated because he couldn't say, yes, I can hear, no, I can't hear. He was only about that big, so very, very tiny little thing. He was a bit more quiet and shy, of course, because his confidence, because he couldn't hear and see properly, obviously, put him back a bit because he couldn't go around kicking a football and things with glasses on and things, and there's certain things he couldn't do, but we always made sure that we said it's okay, there's other things that you can do, and made sure he was okay. Always positive, always positive. Oh, he was a very gentle, kind little boy, always very caring, not just to the kids but to all the teaching staff and his help that he had. He was always very caring little boy, extraordinarily caring, and everyone always remarked about that. He had the most giving, loving way about him, which is part of his special needs, but it made him the nicest qualities about him. Oh yeah, of course it was tough for him, but we didn't let him know it was tough. We got our ways around all sorts of things with the help of teaching staff and people at the hospital. He had speech impediment as well, where his speech was very bad, and they came into the school to give him it. We went after school for it, and it remarkably went away. Here's my son, my big baby Mathhew.
Thanks, Mum.
And he made it. Look at that face.
Christ above. Are you proud of me, Mum?
Yes.